Ladies and gentlemen, please help us in welcoming our hero for her retired address entitled Who Needs a Cape? Our hero and friend, Baxter Heinert.
I'm intimidated by the fear of being average. My family has always said that nothing about me is by any means average. It started when I was pretty small. Even though the image of rodeo queens and zookeepers have always danced in my head, when they would ask me, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" I've always answered one thing: I'm going to save the world. Now let me explain. Because I don't always wear my cape. So most of you probably think that I can't save the world. But see, that's where you're wrong. Because to me, a superhero isn't about a cape. A hero is someone who makes a difference. There are so many people who make a difference in this life every single day, and absolutely none of them wear a cape. So tell me this: who needs a cape? I'm a firm believer that our generation can be superheroes. You just need to ask yourself two questions. Who do you want to be? And how do you become that person? First, who do you want to be? That answer came to me as my biggest role model. My Uncle Seth has always been the person I look up to the most, and I try my hardest to follow in his footsteps, because for me, my Uncle Seth has always worn a cape. It started when I was really tiny, actually before I could even walk, when, to my mom's dismay, the name Seth was the first word out of my mouth. After that, it continued until I was about 15, when it absolutely skyrocketed. That's when Seth and his wife picked up their stuff and decided to move to Africa. At that moment, I knew exactly what they were doing. My aunt and uncle were saving the world, one Orcasiwa school at a time. See, the capes that Seth and Lisa wore in Tanzania didn't look like that. They were shown off through their enthusiasm and love for giving back. The passion that my uncle had for the school and all of its students has impacted so many people. Not only did they provide those students with an education, but they also let the tribes see real superheroes in action. Now, I can't tell you how big of an impact my aunt and uncle have actually made, because not only were they affecting lives across the seas, but they were affecting my life. I began researching every way possible to save the world, because, you know what, to me, Seth was a superhero. But even with all my research, I still couldn't find a way to save the world. How did Seth find his cape? How was I going to find mine? This leads me to my second question. How do you become that person? I got that answer my senior year. Back then, I had no idea where I was going, or why, or how I was even going to get there. I basically had 3 objectives in mind. 1, go to college. 2, be a state officer. And 3, become Taylor Swift. Okay, so maybe I only had 2, but let me tell you, I was still stressing out. That's when my grandma slowed me down. She said, "Baxter, you need to remember who you are, because there are 4 blue eyes that watch everything you do." That's when I took a moment, and I stopped and looked down. Sure enough, there were my cousins, Jameson and Madeline, beaming up at me. It was in that moment, amongst all the chaos of trying to save the world, that I realized who I really was. I had been so busy trying to save the big world that I hadn't even realized that my 2 biggest fans already thought I was a superhero. So then I started to look back, and I thought of one story in particular that made me feel like a superhero. It took me back to my state swim meet. After my races, I had taken Madeline down to the pool to show her the set of identical twins on my team. See, Maddie? They look exactly the same, and they were born on the exact same day. Isn't that cool? That's when she said, "So, just like us?" Now, even though I'm 19 and she's 7, I'm 5'8", and she's barely 4 foot, and my birthday is in August, while hers is definitely in February. To her, we are identical. You see, Maddie has always seen my cape, even when it wasn't clear to me. Just as I have been admiring Seth, my 2 cousins have been admiring me. I had been looking so hard for that cape, when really, it was already tied around my neck. How many times do we get caught up in the big picture that we fail to realize who we are? I know that I'm not the only one in that position. How many of you have younger siblings or other family members that drive you absolutely crazy? Yeah, well, believe it or not, you are a superhero to them. My uncle said, you are a superhero to them. Now I know that you're bound to ask me, well then, where's my cape? But I'm here to ask you, who needs it? No matter what your outfit looks like, whether you're wearing a jersey, a t-shirt, or my personal favorite, blue corduroy, you are constantly wearing a cape. My Uncle Seth has always been my biggest superhero, just as I hope to be for my cousins as well. And you know what? You are a superhero too. Look around. How many lives have you impacted today? Wyoming FFA, spend less time getting caught up in what kind of cape you're wearing and more time being the best superhero that you can be.
Baxter, every team needs their princess, and you are definitely ours. Between your love for Taylor Swift and those rough early mornings, we couldn't have asked for a better sister. And thank you for always making sure we take our selfies in the morning.